Right. So, what we discussed in the last session about the payments part, because high level understanding over what exactly payment structure is all about, all that, in what way it is
Yes.
relating to banking side, right? So, this is all something I have explained. So, let me give you a high level glimpse uh, over the payments first, because when you try to understand about the payment domain, we need to understand this in three different ways. These three different payment structures you need to learn as far as the payment domain is concerned. This is something make you to understand much simple. I'm giving this explanation. Okay. Normally three different payment structures. One is about the payment structure from the Indian context, right? Whatever the payments or the transactions we do over here, either for shopping or even money transfers, right? So this is all something comes from the Indian context, the payment structure. Whereas when it comes to the second one about uh, SWIFT processing, whatever the international transfers we normally do. So all these international transfers will be done through some messaging system. In the last session, I told you through messaging system. This is all something we call it a SWIFT code. Using different codes and all, we will be sending the payment through code number. Code will be
Yes.
received. Sent will be sent through code and received will be on the code itself, which normally that value will be translated as a code format. This is second one. Third, about the European market, because as far as the job requirements are concerned, even though we are learning payments domain or even though we are from the payments domain perspective, requirement to requirement it varies because somebody require person who is having experience in SWIFT processing, right? So people should have knowledge over SWIFT, etc. Some people expect people to have a knowledge over the European market because I told
Okay.
European market, some people.
Mhm.
So their requirements are different, right? So requirements, if you say that I'm into payments domain, doesn't mean you will be working on all the aspects, right? So they may have a requirement only for SWIFT. So that understanding over the SWIFT processing must be your priority. But when it comes to the SEPA, maybe SEPA network, understanding the transactions, business transactions, trading transactions happen between those European countries. So for that, they have created a payment structure or a gateway payment structure called SEPA. That is for them. So you may work on one area, right? So you may in the real world, I'm trying to say, right? So you're not something that you will be working in each and every these things and all. Next, at the same time, when it comes to the payments is concerned, as far as the messaging, because payments, everything happens through messaging code, because these are all encrypted, as I told you. So there are different codes normally we use, something like MT, MX, different messaging codes we use to transact payments from one to another extent. So this is also one of the key and important thing need to be known with. So these are the overall understanding as about the payment domain, as I already given an explanation about that earlier. Now,
Yeah.
today I'm going to explain you in what way being a business analyst you are related. This is the first
Yeah.
thing you need to know first before you are getting into the intro part of payment domain. First of all, you need to know because end of the day, you are learning payments domain to make your career into business analyst side. Okay, not in the other areas.
Yes. Yes.
So when we are learning payments domain, we need to understand uh, what exactly the role of a BA. Normally, when we try to understand the role of a business analyst from the payments domain point of view, whatever the expertise we have, whatever the skill sets of a BA require, what are the knowledge areas that are needed, and what are the different tools that we are using, those are all common. Okay. Because if you follow the traditional model, then we prepare some documentations, etc. That expertise one must be good with. If you follow agile and all, how to write epics and user stories, that sort of learning is important. So for that, uh, what kind of codes are we using? What kind of tools are we using? Something like Jira. Okay. So this is something which is common for BA. Now, when try to understand about the payment structure normally, there are two processes will be there normally. There are three different scenarios I'll give you. For example, XYZ is a banking client. Okay. I'm giving an example so that you'll be understood well. For example, XYZ is a bank.
Okay.
They are having operations for a very long time. They do banking because they do the banking transactions for a very long time. Assume that this company is from last 30 years, 30, 40 years, roughly speaking, right? So
Okay.
for last 40
BE.
years, this bank provide different services to the customers. That is the scenario.
Okay. Okay.
Now, what they want to enhance their applications or systems to the next level because they want to enter into the new services market, new trading business market, where whatever the international transfers they wants to do. Earlier, they were not into international transfers. Assume that they were not into international transfers. They were only into the local transactions. Not only domestic transfers is something which they were experienced or which their business is into. Now they have expanded their services to the next level where they are providing services to their customers for international transfers also. Yes, sir. Right? International transfers also. Now, if they want to initiate international transfers to their customers to get some, if they wants to do some trading or if they want to have purchase some raw material from outside of the country. So money has to be provided for them in that local currency so that they can uh, get the goods, right? So they can purchase the raw material. So for that they have to provide some letter of intents and some kind of even international transfers if anybody wants to do in that currency. Everything they have to do. For that regard, they want to upgrade their systems. So problem or the business situation, he can call it as anything. Problem or a business situation. 1 minute, Abhinav, 1 minute.
Sure.
Just a minute, please. Right. So generally they wants to upgrade their systems to the next level. So what is the business situation? Business situation is to enhance their business transactions to international level, international transfers. This is their business situation which they were into. Now, what they want to upgrade their existing systems, which must be compatible to the international transfers. Means they wants to initiate either it can be SWIFT processing systems they wants to integrate it with, or they wants to acquire with, or else they want some kind of SEPA related regulatory standards. So those kind of standards that has to be implemented in their existing system. So what they want to enhance their applications to the next level, which is equivalent to the international transfers. That was the business situation or the problem. Now, for this, what they have to do, there are three options. Option number one, developing a new application according to their requirements. Option two, customize the existing application by adding some new features to that. Option 3, customize a customized product according to their business rules and government mandates. Am I right?
What is the difference between second option and third option?
I will tell you. Okay. Now, 3 options. Option 1, developing a new application according to the requirement. Means you are planning to go for international transfers wherein you want to extend your operations to that extent. So what you want? Bank wants to develop an application, some kind of international transfer enabled applications. Either it can be integrated with Swift or something like that is different. But you need to upgrade your systems. You have to develop a new application from the scratch so that this can be integrated with international transfer network, something like Swift or SEPA, right? So you want to transfer it. So for that, you want to develop a new application from the scratch. This is what we call it as COTS, right? COTS based applications. From the scratch, you are giving the requirements to some IT company wherein they are developing an application. This is one area.
Discovery, right?
Uh,
Application developing from discovery phase.
from the scratch, right? From the basic requirements. For example, you want website. What I can do, I can take basic requirements from you and I can develop an application from the website from the scratch. Am I right? Yes.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
This is one option, which bank has one option. This is point number 1. Second, what is another option they have? They have another option where whatever the existing application they have, they want to customize that existing application by adding some new features and functionalities to that. Let's say you have a feature mobile. You have a feature QWERTY keypad mobile earlier. I'll give you an example. Now, is it possible for you to enable new features and functionalities according to the present requirements? Is it something possible?
No, it's not possible.
Why? Because mobile usage is basically the same. Either you may be having a basic mobile or an iPhone or something. But end of the day, the kind of architecture as well as the kind of components we are using, as well as the usage, based on that, whatever the features that are needed and all everything will be varied from mobile to mobile. Am I right? So,
Yeah.
existing application may not be compatible. Existing application may not be compatible to add some new features because you are using old application which was you are using for last 15-20 years. The kind of operating system, the kind of hardware and software requirements you have at that level is very basic one. Nowadays nowadays the requirements are changed completely. You are expecting some kind of cloud applications nowadays because of the infrastructural challenges by the organizations they are managing. Because there are normally two kind of applications. If you remember in the last sessions also I told you. Some are on-premise, some are cloud applications. On-premise means you are developing an application. Customer is using within their data center. They have their own data centers, they have their own servers and firewalls. So you will be installing application in the client environment so that client is using it. This is what we call it as on-premise. Means developing an
Yes, yes.
application, giving it to the customer. You are installing in the customer side. They are using it. This is one area. Second is cloud applications. Cloud applications means you are developing an application in the cloud environment. Either it can be whichever the cloud service provider it can be. It can be Windows Azure or it can be AWS or Google Cloud, IBM, all that. So the cloud access will be given. Whatever the listed features are there in the cloud, whatever the application we have developed, whichever the services they want, they can use it by paying it. That is second option. So nowadays, assume that I'm giving you an example. Assume that we are moving towards cloud side. or else we want to have on-premise only. But nowadays, the requirements as well as the configuration of the systems are very high level. So what will happen here? Upgrading an existing application from old systems to the new system is not something possible. Am I right? Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes.
Yes, sir. Right.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
There is an existing application you have. The first situation, you want to develop, you want someone to develop an application from the scratch. This is one aspect. Second aspect is you have an existing application. Adding some new features and functionalities is difficult because the configuration of the systems are very old. Point number one. Point number two, whatever the kind of architecture the development old application has is very old. For example, you are using some mainframe architecture earlier, mainframe systems you are using. Now, can you get any people who can understand the mainframe architecture nowadays? Difficult.
No,
Because most
difficult.
of the
Exactly.
people were veterans, most of the people, because mainframes is a old one, most of the people were veterans. Some people are migrated themselves into they have migrated to other new technologies and they are working for new technology. So understanding the existing architecture, because normally as a solution provider, practically if you understand, rather than understanding the old architecture and developing a new application, enhancing it, it's always easy for us to develop a new application from the scratch. Yes or no? Right?
Okay.
So understanding the old architecture required that expertise for you. Next,
Okay.
if you want to add some new features and all, the existing application, whatever the hardware and software requirement they have, needed some compatibility to do it. There are a lot of things are involved. So developing a new application is one option to you. Customizing an
But
existing application by adding some new features and all everything is another option. These are the two options.
uh, Raj, I have one question in second option.
Go.
Customize the existing application. Okay. So as you mentioned that BA need to understand the as-is process first, right? It's difficult to understand the as-is process compared to building a new application from scratch.
Yes.
So do BA need to understand the as-is process when it comes to
That's where
technical
I'm coming.
things, right?
That is where I'm coming. I'm coming there. I'm about to explain you the same. Okay. Just wait for 2 minutes. Is that your question?
Yeah. How much
Okay.
BA needs to understand technically the
That
system?
is I'll come to that. Right. So these are
This
the
is my
two
question. Yeah.
options.
Yeah.
Okay. Now either it can be a first option, or it can be a second option, or it can be a third option. Okay. Understanding about two different things are needed for a BA. Forget about the options which I'm showing you over here. Either it can be first or second or third.
Okay.
Understanding the existing system application doesn't need not be, for example, you are developing uh, some e-commerce portal to one of your customer. Okay.
Okay.
Can you is it something that customer will give you some old e-commerce portal and make you to develop update you to the next level? No, right? So they may expect you to develop an application from the scratch, an e-commerce portal. Am I right? So
Yes. Yes.
as is and to be is a common skill set for a business analyst one should be known with. This is nothing to do with existing application. It need not be an existing application. Existing process is also called as is. Do you understand this?
I understand. Understand.
Understood,
Understand.
Abhinav, right? Again, I'm
Uh,
repeating again. You are developing a website for one of your friend or one of your customer. To develop an application, an existing application, what kind of website you are developing, that references you will be taking from somewhere and you are developing from the scratch. So
yes.
you need to have a knowledge over the as is. As is nothing but they need not have any website earlier. But that website, Jaisa, O Jaisa application, O Jaisa websites, the references you require. So that
Understood.
understanding is needed because what kind of, for example, they are doing some online shopping kind of portal and all. What are the different features that could be having? And what else new features that can be added when you are developing a new application? That sort of understanding is needed. Am I right? Sorry.
Yeah, you're right. Since you have mentioned mainframe, so
Hmm.
that's what I'm asking. How much I need to technically involved? in the
That's where.
process, as is
That is where.
process. Yeah.
Yeah. This is one point. Second,
Mm.
if it is an as is or to be, to what extent being a technical, uh, as a business analyst, I should have a technical knowledge, right? This is your question. This is what something you.
Yes, exactly.
The answer is very simple. If you are a technical business analyst, because there are some jobs, there are some job descriptions. I don't say jobs, the job descriptions where they want some person who should have some technical knowledge also, technical business analyst knowledge. Means if you, I'll pause here and I'll go back so that you'll be understood. In the last previous sessions, if you remember, I told you business analyst in Salesforce or business analyst in maybe Dynamics or
Application
something,
based.
which I told you. Application.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm.
Now, what is required for you? First of all, you need to know what are the different features are there in Salesforce,
Mm.
and what are the different fields do we have? What are the different workflows? Everything that knowledge is required. Am I right or not? Right? If you are
Yes, yes.
working here. So, technical business analyst, if you are a technical business analyst, or if they are expecting you to have a technical knowledge, if it was a mainframe application, understanding the mainframe architecture is important for you. If it is a mainframe application, I'm saying, okay. For example, if the ASI system is a mainframe application, understanding the mainframe architecture is important.
As a technical
For
BA.
that, yeah, for that, right? Understanding the mainframe architecture is required, is important.
Mm.
So for that, normally who will be having that? Person who is having experience in mainframes, who transform themselves into BA only can do that. Remaining
Exactly,
people
yes.
cannot do it.
Mm.
Yes or no?
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Correct.
So I always say to the people when you are applying for jobs, because of course, as part of end of the day, we are giving training. So for the purpose, generally, as far as the job profiles is concerned, when you are applying, we have to make sure what are their job duties for a BA. Because other profiles I don't compare. But for a BA, it is different because I told you functional BAs are different, technical BA roles are different, application based business analyst roles are different. Functional BA means they may be having knowledge over the functional side, payment domain, or it can be banking, it can be retailing, or it can be capital markets, anything. This is domain functional side. So they want functional knowledge. There are some requirements where they want some technical BA, means understanding about the technology. So there is no barrier for technology, there is no parameter for technology. So, for example, if it's a mainframe application or old Java, old version we are using, okay, understanding about the architecture of Java or something is an additional advantage or additional skill set. Underline this point. It's not mandatory. An additional skill set or additional advantage for a BA to involve because you are translating your business requirements to the technical requirements. Yes or no? Right?
Yes.
Abhinav, right? Abhinav.
Ha.
So you're
Yes, yes,
translating
yes.
from business requirements to technical requirements. In this transformation, being a business analyst, you need to interact with multiple stakeholders. These stakeholders may be subject matter experts. These stakeholders may be technical people. Either it can be developers, or it can be architects, or it can be anyone. Okay. So you need to have a clear interaction with them. You need to have that detailed interaction with them. What you are discussing, people should understand. What people are discussing, you should understand the technical jargons and terminologies. To that extent, role of a BA is enough. It's not something that technical BA doesn't mean that you need to learn programming or you want to do testing or you want to participate in API integration. It doesn't mean it. But at least as far as the requirement to understand, for example, a technical person, first from the customer point of view, a technical person is interacting with you. At least you should be able in a position to understand what their requirements are from the jargon's perspective. I mean to say that. Why? Because at least the same information you can translate to your technical team. That way you need to have the knowledge. Or
But
else
how
you
can
need to
I,
have a knowledge, or else you need to have a knowledge at least to make your technical team available at the time of interaction. You need to have a knowledge either that or you need to have a knowledge over the technical jargons to understand. Jargons and terminologies of technology is something required for a BA to start with. What level of expertise being a technical person you are having, even as you are a business analyst, that varies. Because some people come from technical background. For example, there are some situations I'll give you. For example, there are some developer roles, right? So the people are working on development side for a very long time. Now they want to transform their career to the project management side. I'll give you a scenario so that you will be understood well.
Uh-huh.
For example, you are a developer working for a development for last 5, 6 years or 7 years. You are doing coding and all. That's how you are. But now you are not interested. Somehow you are not interested. Your interest is not that. So your interest is towards moving towards project management side because you felt that I am well experienced in coding side. I don't want to work more on the coding. I'm not interested, whatsoever reason. So what is that you
That I
do?
understood. Yeah.
What is that you do? You can become because there are scenarios. The reason I'm saying because business analyst course, most of the people who look for career transformation only will come. The reason why I'm giving this example to you. Okay. So what they want to do, they are not eligible to become a project managers directly. Project manager role cannot be given for them just because of the developmental experience they have. So what they have to do, first of all, they have to transform their career to the business analyst role. Understood, Abhinav? Right? You're listening or not?
Yeah, I'm listening. Yeah.
Okay, so those kind of people can understand the jargons and the technologies in depth as a technical being, not by the people who are coming from the functional side, comparing to you both. You understood now?
Okay.
Clear? Yes,
Yeah.
Abhi.
But how functional will be the right fit for the project? I mean,
That's what I'm
because like.
saying. The reason
Mhm.
why roles are different. You cannot say that, right?
Uh,
That's what I told you from the beginning itself. I am saying the same thing. Functional business analyst, because some job profiles you see as a business analyst, I want to have a knowledge on the payment domain. Some people will ask you. Okay, for example, some people in the job description they gave, I want a person having some domain knowledge over payments. But the person should have technical knowledge also. Strong technical background is greatly desirable, is an additional advantage. I don't say it is must in all the cases, but some people will be mention it as must. Some people will be saying that you can see in the job descriptions because you are coming from that side, you understood well. So they will mention it technical skills, having some knowledge over API or having some knowledge over XML. This is a must thing, or this is an additional advantage to become a business analyst. So description, job profile to profile, business analyst roles are varied. It is not the same for all the profiles. Functional
got
BA
it.
roles are different.
Mm.
Techno-functional, because whatever the thing you are asking, those people are comes under techno-functional roles. Techno-functional means you need to have functional knowledge. At the same time, you need to have technical knowledge.
Yeah,
Now,
got it.
if you ask me about Raj, what is technology means? Technology can be anything. Let's say they are working on Java. They may have a person required to have a knowledge over some basics of Java. Or else if the projects are running on .NET, they may expect someone to have a knowledge on .NET. The projects they
Okay.
are focusing more on the cloud side. For example, nowadays they are moving to the cloud environment. They may expect people to have a knowledge over the cloud environment. Either it can be AWS or it can be Azure or it can be Google Cloud or it can be IBM or something.
Yeah.
You're following, right or not?
Okay. So suppose like if a functional BA is understanding the process, if the BA is functional in the team, okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that we need to bring a technical team to understand the
Absolutely.
technical.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Because if you are a business analyst, your major job is to understand the functionality, point number one. Second, technical barriers you are not able to understand because it's not your cup of tea, you are not in that level. Okay. What you have to do, you need to bring your technical team or stakeholders to that extent possible. This is the business requirement. If we want to develop this into an application, what kind of technology that is something suitable for us to develop?
Okay.
Understood, Abhinav, right? To develop. To do this, there are a lot of feasibilities to be performed. What are the feasibility? If you remember, as far as the business analyst learning from your side is concerned, I think you might have learned about feasibility study. Have you learned this? Feasibility study. What is feasibility study? Feasibility study means whether to what extent this application is feasible for you to develop. Okay. Feasibility in different ways. First is budget feasibility or financial feasibility. Financial feasibility means to develop an application, these are all the parameters. Do remember, Avinav. Okay. I'm not specific. Simply, if customer saying you to transform this application, that is not something possible for you to do. There are two possibilities. There are few possibilities. One is feasibility called financial or budget feasibility. Means the kind of budget which is allocated for a project to develop, you need to have that sufficient budget to use the technology. That is point number one, feasibility point of view, right? Financially,
Yeah.
it must be feasible to use the technology. That is one
Yeah.
first point. Because if the budget is something very limited, okay, you don't have choice to do it. End of the day, because end of the day, this is a business enterprise, right? Money, profits, losses, break even, everything is important. Everything is involved in it. Point number one. Second, technical feasibility. Technical feasibility, as far as the second option is concerned, if you can address this. Assume that customer is saying that I don't have budget. Whatever the existing application I have, please add some new features to that. Is it
Okay.
something technically feasible? Is it something possible for us to do it? May? Yes or no, right? Sometimes it is possible, sometimes it may not be.
It is not possible. Yeah.
Right? If it is not possible, what is that you have to give? You need to give a via media solution here. What is via media? You need to understand, you need to understand the existing process also. You need to understand the existing process also. At the same time, you need to provide some kind of solutions to the customer in such a way that must be within their budget. Why we are moving towards cloud applications nowadays is because of it. Because customer have a lot of expectations in terms of the technology is concerned. Second, as far as the budget is concerned, which is competitive. So why are we moving cloud? Because of this. Because of the cloud application, the advantage is that customer no need to invest on the technology. For example, you want to develop an application, you want to buy the operating system, you have to purchase. You need to purchase all the required third-party tools which are need for you to develop it, a project. Yes or no? Right?
Yeah.
You have to buy the licenses. And these licenses required that is to be renewed every year renewal has to, and how many licenses you are taking depends on the workstations you have. For example, 10 people are working, 10 licenses you have to buy. Whereas for the cloud application you don't require. What are the features that are needed and how many logins credentials you want? If you can pay only for that, you can use it. So why moving towards cloud applications? Because of this reason. So understanding about the cloud environment is also required for a BA. For the present condition, I'm saying, okay, because most of the applications we are moving towards cloud. You need to understand about the cloud because cloud again we have three different services. We have infrastructure services as separate, platform services as separate, software services as separate. We have three different services. Understanding about these three services is also one of the key and important element. Understood? Clear?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is technology, when you talk about what level of technology skills is required means there is no barrier, there is no parameter. Application to application, it varies. Some customers are using some mainframe application. They wants to transform. Their requirements are different. Someone is using already a on-premise application. They wants to transform to cloud. Their requirements are different. So technology, as far as technology is concerned, there is no parameter for technology. But there are some standard technologies, technical skills which business analysts require nowadays are two. One is SQL, second is Power BI. Why? Because
Yeah.
SQL is something which is used to write some queries and all that is required for you. Point number one. Basic technical skills. I'm trying to say that. Okay. Second is
Yeah.
either it can be a Power BI or Tableau because these Power BI and Tableau are being used to visualize the data to create any kind of dashboards and all everything. This is something which normally we use.
Basically, to clean the data, to clean the customer data and things.
If you for that to clean the data again, there are different ETL tools we have. For example, you are transforming from old systems to the new application. What you have to do, you need to clean the data first. You need to transform the data. You need to translate the files to the new one. That's where generally, if you remember, there is a process called ETL. You might be knowing this. ETL, you
Yeah,
might be
extract,
heard of
transform,
it.
load. Yes, 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 yes.
ETL. ETL means you need to extract the data, you need to transform the
Transform the
data, you need to
and
load the
load
data.
the data.
Right? So
Yes,
there
yes,
are
yes.
different ETL tools are required.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the technical skills if they're required, basic technical, because I don't say everything. Because some people ask you, you need to have knowledge of SQL. Some people ask you need to have knowledge over Power BI. Some people you may be asking, do you have any knowledge over the ETL process or ETL? ETL, it's not ETL testing. I'm talking about ETL process, right? So do you have any idea about ETL tools and all? And some people, if there is some applications which are integrated based applications, because third option is relating that anyway I'll explain tomorrow. Some applications are integration. Integration means you are integrating payment application with some other applications outside. So for that API integration is something will be done by the technical development. Development team will create some APIs using some RESTful API or a web API, different SOAP API. We use different APIs to connect with. So when you are integrating APIs, what is needed for you? When you are integrating applications, it's always important for us to understand what kind of APIs are we using. At least you need to know the basics of APIs. What are the different APIs? For example, if you went for an interview wherein you have mentioned that I have experience in API. Let's say you don't have, but still you have claimed that you have experience in APIs. Then they will ask the next question, they will ask you what are the different APIs we have, what API you have used recent for this project. At least you should say either it can be web API or it can be RESTful or it can be SOAP API. At least you have to say. So these sort of technical jargons and terminologies are required for a BA. To what extent expertise a person is having varies from person to person. Somebody have a personal inclination towards learning technologies in regular intervals. They may have a strong command. Some people are not interested. Some people are doesn't have that knowledge. So that may be varied from person to person. You cannot relate person will be having all these skills. It's because technology, when you talk about the technology, there is no barrier, there is no parameter for that. Technology can be anything, right? Some people may expect you to have knowledge over the cloud services. Some people may expect you have knowledge over SQL. Some people may ask you about Power BI. Some people may ask you about APIs, right? Some people may be asking you about the file formats, either it can be XML or JSON. This is all part of the job profile what BA has, because they may require some technical BA. If it is not a technical BA, if they want some functional business analyst, person who is having knowledge over the functional understanding, that is what something which they expect from you. That's where generally we call it as domain BAs for all. Understood? Clear?
Got it, got it.
Any question?
No, that's fine. So last option is customized product according to their
No, that
business.
anyway, session is going to be ended soon. That I'll explain tomorrow. Because customization, this is the third option. Now and then we are using more of this. Because the first one is something, it's going to be ended. If it is disconnected, you please join again. Okay? Please don't confuse. Okay? Clear? Please join again. Abhinav.
Ah, okay.
Please join again.